My beloved brother, my dear sister, if you've been seeing them in dreams again and again, it doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're broken. It simply means Allah is still working on something inside you. Something beautiful. You're not crazy. You're not alone. You're being spoken to, not with words, but through the unseen language of divine mercy. Don't rush to decode the dream. Don't chase signs from people. Chase the one who sent the dream. And if you can sit quietly after it, raise your hands and whisper, Ya Allah, I don't understand, but I trust you. Then that moment becomes your healing. Because true peace doesn't come when they come back. It comes when you come back to Allah, and He is always ready to welcome you, even through the silence of a dream. You're not dreaming about them, you're dreaming about the version of you that loved them. You keep seeing them in different ways. Some nights they're smiling at you, other nights they're walking away. Sometimes they speak, sometimes they just look at you, and you wake up with your heart racing, your chest aching, your mind full of questions. Again, you wonder, why do they keep showing up? You ask Allah, Ya Rab, is this a sign? Am I supposed to go back? Are they thinking about me too? But my dear soul, let me tell you something quietly. You're not dreaming about them. You're dreaming about the you who once loved them. It's not their presence that's haunting your sleep. It's your past self that's still reaching for air. The version of you that laughed more, trusted more, believed more, gave more. That version of you that stayed up praying for someone who barely understood the value of your tears. That version of you is still trying to speak, still trying to be heard, still aching for closure, not from them, but from you. You see, when we lose someone we once loved deeply, especially when it was sudden, confusing, or painful, we don't just lose them. We lose the version of ourselves that existed during that time. That fragile, innocent, loyal part of you. The one who stayed up waiting for a message that never came. The one who kept forgiving things that were breaking your soul quietly. The one who thought love meant patience, even if that patience was destroying your self-worth. You buried that version of yourself the moment they left. You moved on. Or at least you told yourself you did. You smiled. You rebuilt. You learned boundaries. You became stronger. But somewhere deep inside, that softer, more vulnerable you is still sitting quietly, waiting to be acknowledged, waiting to be healed, not erased, not punished, just loved. And so Allah in His mercy shows you this dream, not to confuse you, not to pull you back, but to remind you that healing isn't about deleting every memory. It's about facing the reflection in that dream and saying, I see you, I remember who you were, I know why you loved the way you did, and I forgive you for not knowing better. Sometimes the dream isn't a sign of reunion, it's a sacred reunion with yourself. Allah knows the exact version of you that broke in that season. He knows you stopped smiling the same way after they left. He knows you stopped believing in love the way you used to. He knows how slowly your heart started closing itself off, not just from people, but from hope. So now, when you see that face in your sleep, don't rush to attach meaning to them. Don't assume it's about getting them back. Don't let your emotions run wild. Instead, ask, what part of me have I not forgiven yet? What part of me still needs a hug? You're being shown a version of you that was once full of light, but became dimmed by the wrong love. That light still exists. And maybe, just maybe, Allah is trying to return you to you, not to who you were, but to who you were always meant to become after the pain matured your faith, after the heartbreak rewired your dua, after the dreams turned into divine wake-up calls, this is not a sign to go back to them. It's a sign to go back to your Rabb. Because that old version of you, the one still stuck in that moment, doesn't need their love. It needs your compassion. It needs your dua. It needs you to say, I don't need that chapter to feel whole anymore. Because I have Allah. And that's enough. And when that prayer finally leaves your lips, you'll still dream sometimes. But it won't shake you. It won't break you. It won't leave you in tears anymore. Because now you'll know it was never really about them. It was always about the part of your soul that was quietly waiting for you to return. Their image keeps appearing because your soul hasn't understood the real reason for the separation. You keep seeing them, their face, their eyes. Sometimes you hear their voice. And when you wake up, there's a silence so loud inside your chest, it almost feels like loss all over again. You tell yourself, it's just a dream, but it doesn't feel like just a dream. It lingers. It follows you through the day. It whispers at Fajr. It echoes in your sujood. And you start wondering, Ya Allah, what are you trying to tell me? Let me speak to you gently, like a brother would. Sometimes your soul sees what your mind refuses to accept. And the truth is, you keep seeing their image because your heart still doesn't understand why it had to end. You keep trying to rewrite the story in your head, trying to figure out what went wrong, what you could have done differently, what they should have done better. And because your soul is still looking for an explanation, Allah keeps showing you their face. Not to hurt you, but to show you, you still haven't understood what I saved you from. You see, most people assume that when something ends, especially a relationship they prayed for, it means something went wrong. But sometimes something ends because something was going right. Because Allah saw something ahead that your heart couldn't. Maybe the relationship was slowly pulling you away from who you were meant to become. Maybe your energy was being spent holding something together that was never meant to be whole in the first place. Maybe your soul started shrinking to fit inside their story when Allah wrote a much bigger one for you. But you didn't see that. You were too close, too emotionally invested, too attached to the idea of them. So Allah had to separate you, not to break you, but to bring you back to yourself. And now, your soul is still asking questions. It's still looking for logic, still looking for closure in the wrong place. And Allah is gently reminding you, you don't need to understand the how when I already protected you from the why. Their face keeps appearing in your dreams because you keep looking for healing in human answers. But what happened between you and them was never just about emotions. It was spiritual. It was divine. It was part of a plan your heart wasn't ready for, but your soul needed. And here's something you may not have heard before. Not all goodbyes come from the shaitan. Some separations come directly from Ar-Rahman. Because even if you begged for it to work, even if you loved them for the sake of Allah, He still saw that this bond would block the light He wrote for you. And so, He ended it. But because you didn't see the full truth, your heart feels abandoned. And so Allah sends the dream again and again. Not because He's punishing you, but because He's inviting you to reflect deeper, to go beyond heartbreak, to stop saying, why did they leave? And start asking, Ya Allah, what were you saving me from? And when that shift happens, when you finally surrender to divine wisdom, instead of chasing human logic, the dream begins to fade. Or at least, it stops hurting the same way. Because now you realize you weren't dreaming about a person, you were dreaming about a lesson. one that still hadn't fully entered your heart. And maybe tonight is the night it finally does. The dream isn't a sign of reunion. It's a sacred test of emotional obedience. You saw them again. Maybe this time they held your hand. Or maybe they looked at you with the softness you always wished for when you were awake. And for a few seconds, your heart believed it was real. Your soul softened again. You thought, could this mean something? Maybe they're coming back. Maybe Allah is showing me that this love isn't over. But then you woke up and the silence hit you. They're still gone. Nothing's changed. And the ache returns deeper now because the dream felt so close, so intimate, so convincing. But my dear soul, let me gently offer you a different possibility. What if the dream wasn't a promise of reunion? What if it wasn't a door being reopened, but a door being tested? Because sometimes what feels like divine romance is actually divine resistance. Sometimes the dream is not a sign to reach out. It's a sacred test to see if you still will. You see, Allah doesn't just test us with hardship. He tests us with attachment, with emotion, with memory, with softness that hasn't been disciplined yet, with love that still doesn't know when to let go. And when He wants to elevate you, when He wants to make your love for Him greater than your love for anyone else, He allows the image of what you once loved to visit your sleep, not to bring them back, but to ask your heart a quiet question. Will you still obey me even when your feelings scream otherwise? That's what emotional obedience is. It's when your emotions beg you to act, but your faith tells you to be still. It's when your heart wants to message them, wants to decode the dream, wants to dig up what Allah buried, but your soul whispers, no, I choose Allah instead. And that moment, that one quiet moment where you pause and say, Ya Rabb, I saw the dream, but I will not run after it unless you command it. That is ibadah. That is submission. That is emotional tawakkul. That is what turns heartbreak into worship. You don't pass the test by never dreaming of them. You pass it by waking up and doing nothing except turning your face to the one who sent the dream in the first place. Because dreams are powerful. They can move the heart in seconds. They can reopen wounds. They can trigger emotions you've buried for months. And Allah knows that. He knows how